This week I had a customer asking me about creating a custom OTDR test limit. So I just want to run through in this video and show you how we create a custom OTDR limit for the OptiFiber Pro. So the first thing I'm going to do is tap on Project, and I'm going to create a new project. Why? Because I always create a new project. There's no reason not to create a new project. This is a great way for us to organize our tests. So I'm going to call this video because I'm doing it for this video. Now when I do that, it automatically creates an auto OTDR test for me. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on that test. I'm going to leave the test type set to auto OTDR. I'm going to turn on my launch compensation because I'm going to be using a launch and tail fiber. In this case, I'm going to set my fiber type to OS2 single mode because that's the fiber we're using for this. Now, in this case, the customer has provided specific values for the loss for each connection and each splice, and they want us to test reflectance. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to tap on the test limit, I'm going to go to More, I'm going to go to Custom, I'm going to go to Manage, and I'm going to go to Create. This is where I can create a new limit. So I'm going to say Custom, OTDR. Done. Now I could set a length limit. I'm not going to in this case because we're not really worried about length that much. If we had an application that we were running across here and we wanted to make sure we didn't exceed a certain length, we could put that in. I'm going to come down here to Event Settings. Now we want to be careful with event settings. You'll notice that for connectors we can set a max and a minimum loss value. Rarely would we ever set a minimum value. So I'm going to come into my max value right here, and I could dial it in for each wavelength. I'm going to go ahead and say use one value for all my wavelengths. That'll make this easier. Now in this case, the customer said, I'm going to allow 0.4 dB of loss for each connection. So I'll hit Done. And done. So as the OTDR is measuring the loss at each connection, it'll compare it with this loss limit. If it is at or below this value, it'll pass. If it's above it, it fails. I'll come down here for splice loss. As in the case of the connector, I'll use one value for all the wavelengths. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. I'll back up. I'm going to change that to 0.14. Why? Because that's what the customer wants. I'll hit Done. I'll hit Done again. Now we're going to leave the reflectance max in here. The reflectance max looks at the amount of light that gets returned at each one of our connections and compares it with this value. This helps us identify if we have dirty or damaged connectors. High reflectance can cause all kinds of problems on our fiber optic network. So it's a good idea to set a reflectance limit and to go inspect those connectors if they fail. This will help us from ending up with ghosts in our link. So I'll go ahead and hit Done. I'll hit Save. And I'll select my new custom OTDR limit. And I'll hit Save. Now, I've created the custom limit, but I'm not done yet. I am a huge fan of setting up all of my cable IDs in advance. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the default cable ID set. I'll hit New Cable ID Set. And I'm going to put in here, we're going to make it easy. We're going to go from building 1, so I'll say B1 to, we're going to go to building 2, B2, and then we've got, let's say we have 48 fibers. So we have 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B. So I'm going to say 01A, and I'm going to come down here and click on this, and I'll back up, and I will say 24B. So this is going to create 48 cable IDs for me. I don't have to type them in, and I won't miss any because it will always put me to the next one. So I'll hit Done. So there's my 48 cable IDs. I'm going to do OTDR from end 1 and end 2 because I want to do bidirectional averaging. If I hit Review, there are my cable IDs right there. Now, of course, you could put in whatever cable IDs you want. I hit save. There's my cable ID set. I come back to my home screen, and you'll notice I'm at 0% tested. As I do my testing, that number will increase. When I finish one end, this will be at 50%. When I finish the other end, it'll be at 100%, and I know I'm done. So there you go. That's how we could go in and set up a custom OTDR limit based on values that were given to us by our customer, and be able to come in here and set up those cable IDs in advance so that we don't have to type them in every time. Well, and it's never a bad idea to select your operator name so everybody knows who did the testing. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe for other videos on how to get the most out of the Fluke Networks Versiv, whether it's copper, fiber, or fiber inspection.